Now that the spring housing market is fully underway, so are the lies and the fake news that are coming out basically to juice up this spring housing market, guys. Like, the things that I am reading right now about real estate are just flat out not true. And I want to go over some of these lies that are being told right now in this video, so that way if you come across some of this stuff, you know better and you know not to fall for it. Because last year, I've made a few videos talking about the biggest lie in the housing market that's continually being told and is still being told today, which is, you can buy today and refinance the house later, right? Well, you can go back and watch those videos. I'm not going to get into that in detail in this video, but that's basically old advice that used to work in a normal housing market, okay? When home prices used to appreciate 2 to 3% per year without any major swings in prices, but that no longer holds true. But today, they're just flat out telling people things that are not true. Like, I saw this story today. Here's the headline. It says, mortgage rates are on the rise, so are home sales and prices, okay? Well, only 1/3 of that headline is true, which is that mortgage rates are on the rise, but prices and sales are not. Now, in some places, prices are on the rise, but in a lot of places, they're not. And when people see headlines like this, they just believe it, because a lot of people don't look into the actual numbers and what is being reported here. And that's what I want to do in today's video. So in case you don't know, mortgage rates are hovering in the 7.5% range, guys. For anybody who has, normal credit and normal income, you're paying 7.5% right now easily, unless you're paying down mortgage point. The 10-year treasury is closely related to the 30-year mortgage rates, just shot up once again. The 10-year treasury is at 4.73% right now. So this in turn makes mortgage rates go up. But what this story says is that pending home sales, which is a leading measure of closed sales based on contract signings, increased 3.4% in March, guys. Well, it doesn't matter, because the actual home sales, the number of home sales that are actually being closed, is down year over year. So they're using something like pending sales, which is not even a closed sale yet. There's a high probability that a lot of those transactions won't even close, at least maybe 20% of them at the minimum. But they're using that as a gauge to say the housing market is going back up, guys, because I just did a video on this last week. For people that watch my channel closely, in March, the sales of previously owned homes fell 4.3%. to an annual rate of 4.19 million, okay? And that's data according to the National Association of Realtors. And then, like I said, today you're hearing these lies about how things are picking back up because pending sales went up 3.4% in March. So what, guys? The amount of homes that are being sold is going down. Now, the mortgage rate side of this obviously is true. The mortgage rates have been on the rise. And, we started this year off with like a 6.5% mortgage rate, and now you're looking at 7.5%, even higher, just in time for that spring home selling season. And here's the problem, guys. They are telling these stories based on what they think is going to happen in the future, based on future predictions, not on what's actually happening today. Because they say in here that home sales are expected to increase this year to about 4.46 million. They think that's going to be the annual number according to the NAR's forecast, all right? But we're still going to be at 30-year lows even if that does happen. They're trying to get people juiced up for this spring market to go out there and buy. People are looking for like the green light right now. Like, give me some kind of reason, something that shows it's okay to go out there and be a buyer, so I don't feel like a complete sucker right now. The NAR, they're forecasting that home prices will increase 1.8% this year. So we'll see if that ends up happening, guys. But that is, once again, just a prediction. That is not hard, concrete data that home prices are going up this year. It's just a prediction from the NAR that it might go up 1.8%. But stories like this twist it into a way to make you think that it's already happening, and trying to create that FOMO, once again, which stands for fear of missing out. So you go out there and buy a house this spring, because that is what the whole housing market runs on, guys. Like 50% of the sales throughout the year take place over just these couple of months, April, May, June. That's it. But all these predictions have been wrong. Let's just look at the interest rate predictions, you know. At the beginning of this year, Fannie Mae was predicting that by the end of this year, we were going to have mortgage rates at 5.8%. Well, guess what? They just revised that prediction now up to 6.4%. And somehow they're thinking that we're going to see lower interest rates by the end of this year, guys. How in the world is that even going to be possible? I have no idea, because so far it looks like there's no Fed rate cuts on the table. And the reason that the yields on the 10-year Treasury are going up is because investors believe that future inflation is going to be worse than it is now. And so because of that, it drives the yields on those Treasuries up, which in turn drives up the rate on the 30-year mortgages. To have a prediction that mortgage rates are going to fall in a time of high inflation is a joke right now. There's no precedent for it, and they're still trying to get people to believe that that is going to be a possibility. Because contrary to what all this says, guys, I will repeat the stats from the NAR that I posted in last week's video. It says that home sales in March posted their biggest decline in more than a year, with a 4.3% fall in existing home sales. So get that through your head. It's not going up, it's going down. Pending sales are not closed sales. Those are actual closed sales figures. Closed sales fell by 4.3%, and pending sales only increased by 3.4%. So you're just seeing the buying activity continue to slow down. So don't let anybody fool you into thinking that you need to go out there and buy today or you're never going to own a house. The market is celebrating this increase in pending home sales because this is the strongest increase in pending home sales that we've seen in about a year, which just goes to show you how weak this market really is. Because if the only time we're seeing the amount of contract signings go up is during the spring selling season, the hottest part of the year, well, that's a problem, guys, because that means the rest of the year is going to be pretty abysmal. This is literally the picture they're trying to paint here, because it's what it says in this story. It says demand continues to overwhelm housing supply, and buyers who have yet to be priced out are eager to purchase before rates climb higher. So people read that and they're like, whoa, I better get out there and do it too, because I got to be worried about rates and prices climbing higher. Even though home sales right now are at a 30-year low, guys, we haven't seen this slow of a season with home sales in 30 years. And 2024 is actually on track with these bad home sales figures to be actually worse than 2023, which was the worst year on record in 30 years. So this might be the even more worst year on record in 30 years. And let's not forget that even despite all of these sales figures numbers, which are trying to be, used as a smokescreen to say, hey, look over here and not over there, meanwhile, housing inventory nationwide is up 14% year over year. So the inventory is rising faster than the sales, which means eventually inventory is going to catch up. That's what we want. We want to see that happen. And funny enough, the predictions from NAR for newly built homes, meaning new construction, are actually poised to still go even a little bit lower this year. They think that new construction sale prices are going to go down by an additional 0.6%. Well, they've already gone down by close to 20% since their peak in 2022. And if it ends the year even lower, that just goes to show you the true direction that the market's headed in. But they think in 2025 is the year that new construction prices are going to recover, because NAR's prediction is that it will rise 3% in 2025 up to 440,000. So we'll see, guys. It's fun to read their predictions and all these stupid numbers that come out, because it's all just smoke and mirrors. They put out these figures to get people jazzed up about going out there and buying, when there's actually no fundamental reason to have that fire to go out and buy. But I will say, you have to know your market. I've said this thousands of times here on the channel already, and it depends on where you live. Because back near my hometown in Rockford, Illinois, okay, I grew up in Belvidere, Illinois. Rockford is the next town over, all right? Rockford was recently named the hottest housing market in America, according to the Wall Street Journal's real estate data. And I fact-checked some of this data to see if it's true, and it is. I mean, it's on fire over there, guys. So for those of you who don't know, Rockford, Illinois is about 90 minutes west of Chicago and about 90 minutes south of Milwaukee. So either one of those big cities is about a 90-minute drive from there. So it's not too bad if you want to, go to an event or something. That's what I used to do. You head out there for the day and you make a day trip out of it. But they're saying that Rockford right now is seeing a huge boom in entrepreneurs who are from the area, and they're opening up small stores and manufacturing companies, gift shops, restaurants, and bars, and trying to revitalize the area, which is, really good to hear, because Rockford is one of those places that has been on the top 10 most dangerous cities in America list for quite some time. So to see that it's recovering is a good thing. Although it is still very dangerous, guys. Like, my dad still works for the post office over there, and about a month ago, there was a mailman that was killed, along with a few other people. Some guy went crazy over there and stabbed a bunch of people. Like, lots of weird stuff still happens. But right now, the median listing price in Rockford is still $235,000, which might sound cheap, but guess what? That's up 51.7% from just 1 year ago. Rockford is probably one of those places where it makes sense to have FOMO. So when you hear these stories about, low inventory and not having enough homes to buy and worried about prices and rates going up, this is a place where that might be a legitimate concern. And I'm not telling you, if you live in Rockford, that, you need to be afraid, but it looks like there's no sign of things slowing down just yet. But you got to look at it from this angle, guys. Like, the median home price, according to Realtor.com, in America right now is about $425,000. So compared to just $235,000 in Rockford, it's still a bargain. And I've been encouraging so many people on my channel, like, listen, if you can't afford a house, you need to look into maybe moving to the Midwest where things are more affordable, guys. And that's why things are still on fire there, because it's still so affordable. But another benefit of living out that way is you don't have these major problems with natural disasters like we have here in Florida and they have in California. Many coastal areas of the country have a lot more issues with natural disasters like flooding and wildfire and hurricane, stuff like that they don't really have to deal with in Rockford. Now, I will say they do have flooding. You can have flooding still there. I've seen it happen. You can still have a tornado. That still happens, but that's very random and not that common. And also, you get the occasional blizzard over there. So they do have their bad weather, but it's not as severe as some of these other areas. And so your insurance rates are going to be much lower too. In fact, I talked to my mom a few weeks ago, and she told me with her most recent insurance renewal, she was actually able to get a couple $100s off the yearly premium, and she was able to get it to go down. So that happening right now in this market is almost unheard of, guys. Having your insurance go down right now when everybody else is getting an increase is a blessing, believe me. But here's the thing that's really driving the prices over there in Rockford. It's just the fact that they have a very big inventory shortage, okay? You have to check to see if this is actually true or not in the area you live in. Typically, during any given moment in the past, pre-pandemic, Rockford would have about 900 to 1,000 homes listed for sale, but today they only have about 230. So only about 20% of the normal level of homes for sale. But the thing you got to watch out for is an area like Rockford is not seeing increases in population, guys. So it's not like a bunch of people are moving to Rockford and that's why the home prices are going up there. No, it's just the fact that they have so few homes for sale that the people who can still afford to buy over there are competing for those homes, and there's still some bidding wars. They talked to a young couple over there that was trying to buy a house for almost a year, and they made 14 offers. They lost out on every single one until recently, but they were being overbid by $5,000 to $15,000, and there was even all cash offers on the table. And they say that anytime a house in Rockford hits the market between the $100,000 to $250,000 range, within a few days it receives multiple offers and it's sold, just like that. If the property sits on the market, they say it's either overpriced or in need of a lot of maintenance. So it's up to you, the home buyer, to determine if you live in a market like Rockford or you live in a market like some of these areas in Florida where inventory is exploding and prices are starting to come down year over year. In fact, I'm going to do a whole video about that pretty soon over the next few days, because it is just crazy what's happening here in Florida. But you know what, guys? It's not just the lies in these news stories that try to trick people into thinking that the market is healthier than it really is. You also have the government that continues to stick its nose in our business and try to prop up the market in every single way known to man, all right? And the most recent thing that they're trying to do is there's a new proposal out there that would allow Freddie Mac to purchase certain single-family closed-end second mortgages. So what on earth does that mean? Well, in a nutshell, what it means is they're targeting people that have a low interest rate, okay? Somebody who bought pre-pandemic or during the early days when rates were still in the 2, 3, or 4% range. But they want to take out a home equity loan or a home equity line of credit, but can't afford to. They want to do a cash out refinance and they can't afford to because the interest rates today are too high. So what they want to do is this. A traditional cash out refinance today may pose a significant financial burden as it requires a refinancing of the entire outstanding loan balance at a new and likely much higher interest rate. Homeowners may also use second mortgages to access their equity in their homes, where only the smaller second mortgage will be subject to the current market rate as the original terms of the first mortgage. But in this type of deal that Freddie Mac wants to do, in a closed-end second mortgage loan, the borrower's funds are fully dispersed when the loan closes, the borrower repays over a set time schedule, and the mortgage is recorded in a junior lien position in the land records. Freddie Mac has indicated that the primary goal of this proposed new product is to provide borrowers a lower cost alternative to a cash out refinance in higher interest rates environment. It's like it doesn't matter that we have high interest rates because the government is going to step in and help you pay. You know, they're going to give you a better deal on that second mortgage and just give you all the money up front and say, don't worry, you can pay us a lower rate, guys. This is the level of shenanigans that's happening right now that is still keeping the housing market afloat, okay? You're wondering why inventory is still too low? It's because of programs like this, okay? Instead of forcing somebody to sell the house like they probably would have to, instead, what's happening? They're going to get this cheaper second mortgage from the government, from Freddie Mac, and have a lower rate. They can pull equity out of the house at a low interest rate subsidized by the government, guys. Does that sound like a good idea to you? Why are they doing this is the other second question, you know? What is the need to come in here and save people from high interest rates, even though interest rates are not even high historically speaking? Well, I'll tell you what it is. It's because it's the only way to keep this market propped up. So they're throwing every single dart at the wall that they can to try to keep this market propped up, guys. And so far it's working. We haven't seen a meaningful decline in home prices, at least in terms of existing home sales. You know, we have seen a major decline in brand new home sale prices, but we haven't seen it yet in existing home sales. And this is the reason why. It's because of all these different programs they put out. They're giving FHA borrowers who can't afford to pay a 40-year mortgage now. They're giving VA borrowers that can't afford to pay a newer second loan on the property as well at a lower mortgage rate. All these things that they do are designed to keep people in their homes rather than sell the home, which is what we desperately need right now. We need people to sell those houses rather than stay in the house, and it makes it artificially cheaper for them to stay in the house as well. And those are just two of the latest examples of what they've done. Obviously, during COVID, they had all the moratoriums. Nobody had to pay rent. Nobody had to pay the mortgages. Nobody had to pay for anything. But now, surprise, surprise, you're seeing the foreclosures start to tick up. So I'll tell you what, guys, it's more important than ever before to be doing your own research right now on what's happening with your market. And I would say really no matter what's happening, even if you live in a market like Rockford, not to feel the FOMO, because eventually a place like Rockford is going to see their inventory levels return to normal one day. And since their population is not really increasing, that is going to make prices come back down. So this boom that Rockford is seeing is temporary. So you need to know those trends. You need to know what's happening with if people are moving in or moving out to your area, what's happening with inventory, what's happening with prices. So if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And if you don't want to wait for my next video to come out, check out this one on the screen right over here, and I'll see you in the next one.